Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome back to another bonus edition of the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Because there's no game, there has been no game, so we were going to have a week off. But then we said, do you know what? Let's do something. So we're going to have a little bit of fun this evening. We're going to do some questions and answers. All the questions will come from the chat box. If you're here, ask us a question. You can ask us anything, like where Lee got his new glasses from. And he'll tell you any question you want, and we'll answer them as long as there's no profanity and as long as it's not too rude, because of YouTube guidelines and all that kind of stuff. They'll take us down. Just before we get going, we are doing a giveaway, and that will be on Twitter. Now, Lee Judges has kindly donated
his new glasses.
This very lovely match day experience limited edition Arsenal scarf. Lee got that when he went to a game, and he goes to the posh seats that he does every now and then, and he got that, and he brought it home, and he said we can give this away to someone. So what we'll do on Twitter after the podcast is finished, we'll do a little retweet and like competition, and then we will announce the winner on next week's podcast. Joining me this evening, Mark. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very well, Craig. Thanks for having us on. Evening.
And, of course, the man who needs no introduction.
I don't know. Tonight.
Well, yeah, tonight. Yeah,
Who is that?
I wish I'd have been a bit quicker there. But the judge, how are you?
This is Mark. He's like Linda Christie, isn't he? Like Linda Christie.
How are you, Judge?
Well, it was all right. Like, I was thinking I was going to have a nice night off. Like, might go out for a meal, take my shirt out for a meal or something like that. And then you call me in for a podcast, and here I am. Like, you know what I mean? So
now, I don't think for 1 second, if you were taking Michelle out for a meal, that you would have cancelled because of this. Because I know Michelle, and there is no way Michelle would let you cancel to come on this.
No. I'll be honest. It was the weather was pretty bad. What a grim day yesterday, wasn't it? Eh?
It was the same here in Ireland yesterday. Goodness me.
Wig wearing people didn't go out yesterday. I can guarantee it. Like, you know what I mean?
You was all right though.
I lost my hat, but I don't know about that.
Thanks for the feedback on the podcast we done on Friday night with Tim Payton. What a great podcast that was, Lee, and great to be involved in, wasn't it?
Fantastic, really, really good. Do you know what was the best thing about it? Is a lot of people that have come up to me and said about it or spoke about it was that, sometimes, like, I know you're a little bit more intelligent than me, even though, people are saying in the chat how distinguished and intelligent I look with glasses, but you are the intelligent one of the group.
Well, I don't know about that.
Go through you can look at these broadsheets and facts and figures about what the club is and all of that, but sometimes it's just great when someone just comes on you and just tells you how it is and tells you the facts of what it is. And that was what was great about it, to find out things, like when, people keep coming to me and saying, oh, fair play, this fair play stuff and all this, fair play. It can't. That Mr. Kroenke can't invest. Well, that was all put to bed the other night. Yes, he can. You know what I mean? He chooses not to.
Yeah,
and I think that was fantastic.
He can invest, but only in certain. He could invest.
Ways round it.
There is.
That's what we know there. Like, So I think it was a fantastic. Not just because it was on the Same Old Arsenal. I just thought it was a fantastic. So much insight and information in it, and it was great. And well done for getting that together, Craig. You've done brilliant.
Well, I mean, I've got to say, it was great to have someone on like Tim Payton, but I've got to say, thanks to Russell if he's watching. He's the fellow who laid the foundations for that. I just came in behind him and went, "Yeah, do you want to come on?" And he did. I didn't expect him to agree to do it the same day. To be honest, I thought it'd be a couple of weeks down the line, but no, he agreed, and away we went.
An injustice there, Craig, because you put together a fantastic podcast. I listened to it, with you guys, and you was all superb. It was a really, really good show, and I'd recommend anyone go back and watch it, give it a like. It's a very informative show.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just before we get going,
And that's the kindest we're going to be to him today, isn't it, Mark? Is that right?
Yeah, now let's all that aside.
Let's get into it.
just before we do start, a little bit of sad news actually. One of our viewers and a very, very good friend of mine, Simon, lost his dad a couple of weeks ago, and he was a massive Arsenal fan. I was lucky enough to meet him. Old school Irish, living in London, a fantastic man. Unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks. So I'm just giving out a little shout out there to Simon, mate. Thinking of you all. Massive shout out to your dad. May he rest in peace, Simon. Mate. And you know where I am if you need me for an old chat or anything like that. He was a massive gooner. So a little shout out to him there. And like I said before, mate, we're thinking of you all at this very sad time. Okay, so we're going to do tonight a question and answers. We've got some questions here already. So basically, they'll all come into the chat box. We'll be here for about an hour. I believe Dan is going to join us in a little minute. He's on another podcast at the moment. He's going to join in straight after. So let's get cracking. This one comes in from Darren. Thank you for your question, Darren. Thanks for tuning in. Given Arsenal's financial predicament, only one marquee signing looks likely. Should that be a centre-back, a midfielder who can create and score goals? My answer to that question has to be a centre-back. What are you saying, Mark?
Yeah, I know why you'd say that, but no, I don't. I would say no, actually, because we've just got these two lads in on loan with an option to buy. So we're hoping that something's going to come of that, and this fella's Mari's going to fill the left-sided gap, if you like. And I read a thing. Debussy was talking about Saliba the other day, saying how he looks a player. He's a big lad. He's potentially going to be good for the future. So I don't know. I know there's a lot of talk of us buying a centre half, but I can't see that now. I think I'm not sure that Xhaka and Torreira are the long-term answer to our defensive midfielder issues, because playing two there, we've blatantly lost something going forward, haven't we? So the balance isn't quite right at the minute, is it? So we either need somebody who can do both roles, both their jobs, protect the back four themselves, like Vieira used to do, Silva used to do, Roy Keane used to do, whatever. Or we're going to keep those two, and then we need to go out and buy somebody who's going to link our world-class strikers with a improving defensive unit. So I would say no to the centre-back. If we can only get one. My fear is that we can't get any marquee signings, actually, that we will be getting level signings.
I'm looking through here now, because where is it?
Come on, don't let me down, Craig.
No, I'm looking for it. I can't find it. People who listen on audio, sorry.
You need to get yourself some bins, Craig.
Yeah, he does, right? I can't see that. He's not on the ball today, I've got to say that.
What did he say to us before we started the show? Why do you need glasses to talk?
Yeah, he said that, like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know,
Look at this. Oh, Danny. That's true.
Danny's on our wavelength.
I thought
that is, Mark, what is it?
I thought it was a statue of Lee.
No, what is it? I can't say it.
It's Himalayan salt. It's an imitation Himalayan salt.
No, it's real. It tastes like.
Is Nigel in the chat today?
He is.
Right, well, tell him he's out of order. Like, Judge used to be on Crystal Maze. Can you tell him to do his job? Get him out, Nigel. Get him out right this moment. I don't want no sorries or anything like that. Got to go.
We don't kick them ones out, I'm afraid. We don't. There he is, sir. Danny Potts. How are you, sir?
Hello, boys. How you doing?
All right.
Judge's nice glasses, mate.
Yeah, we were just.
I love you, Dan. I love
you. Should say that.
We were just discussing. Someone thinks he looks like the bloke of Crystal Maze. And then
Where's Nigel? Where's Nigel?
When he
Well,
first
where's Nigel? Oh, where is he? He's getting
he
his
first
dinner again, isn't he? Like that.
Honey,
I'm telling you that now.
when he
That
first
bloke
came on,
has got to be sacked. I'm telling you, sacked now after that.
when he first came on, when we were off air, and he popped up on the screen, I thought he had one of those fake ones on. You know those fake noses, and it's got the glasses.
We laughing at him.
Oh, brilliant.
We
How we
laugh
doing,
at.
boys? We all good.
No,
apart from
well, it
Lee.
was all right
We all
till you come on.
We're
Oh,
good.
mate.
We're just discussing Craig's Himalayan salt, but I think
Yeah.
we're getting bombarded with questions.
Salt lamp.
That's his
Yeah.
dinner. That's his lunch tomorrow. He's got to put in a sandwich.
Someone thought it was a hunk of ham, but it's not. It's a
Well, I
Himalayan,
thought it was, isn't it?
a Himalayan salt lamp.
Oh,
It
fantastic.
provides
Very nice,
karma.
That looks like ham.
Yeah, and it takes the
Yeah, it
negative
does.
ions from the air. And apparently, anyway, shall we carry on?
Yeah. So shall I
This
answer
question,
that question?
yeah.
Oh, no.
This one's for you.
Well, Jack Grealish. Everything for Jack Grealish.
Well, he's going to
That's
Man United apparently.
Well, we've got to top that, haven't we?
He should be number one. He should be our number one target, I believe. This one comes in from Joan Vincent. Good evening to you, Joan. You discussed
Joan.
you discussed the fire sale if we didn't make the Europa League next season, which could be likely. So, what would that look like? Well, first of all, Aubameyang will probably go, wouldn't he?
Well, I
Lacazette.
think if we don't make Europe, he will go, won't he?
Yeah,
I think
Lacazette.
it's just natural. I think Lacazette.
Yeah,
There's a report today about Lacazette wants to go to Spain at there.
What, for his holiday?
No.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
I
the
honestly
way he's playing
don't-
at the
I
moment,
honestly
he won't
do
get to
not.
Spain, will he?
yeah, he's
I
not going to
honestly
get
Won't
any.
play
do
the
not.
way he's playing.
I honestly do
think
not
it's-
think it'd be a bad thing if we had a fire sale with our senior players. And I said this on the group yesterday with Lee.
Yeah,
I
I
honestly do not believe it would be that bad if Granit Xhaka, Mesut Ozil, Sead Kolasinac, Mustafi, Socrates, Ozil, Lacazette, Aubameyang, if they went, I honestly would not cry about it because I believe that we've got some great promising youth players. Yes, we'd missed some quality in terms of goals from Aubameyang perhaps, but I really don't feel like it would be a massive gutting feeling inside me. It wouldn't be like when Thierry Henry went to Barcelona if Aubameyang went, and it wouldn't be like, you know, when we've seen some of these Arsenal legends leave. I really feel that maybe it is what we need so we can get the wage bill back down to what it should be and then start again.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
If I could interrupt you there,
Evening, Graham.
Gunnosaurus, he's got to go as well. Someone should have that. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah,
What's
he's got
he
to go.
done?
He's, you know
What's
what I
he
mean?
done wrong?
He's never
what's he
contributed to any of our trophy-winning titles. He's just got to go, isn't he? Like that, I mean.
Yeah,
Who put that up there?
not funny.
I just think
Fergus.
that's mammal racism. I don't know. He's done nothing. to
Mammal
you, Lee.
racism.
Nothing.
It wasn't me that suggested it, but I thought
He
it was
brings
quite funny.
joy to the kids. What's wrong with that?
Gunnosaurus.
Does anyone know-
It's a good nickname, isn't it? To be honest, I have to say, whoever come up with that nickname, fair play to him, like, you know. Don't try and get
better
around
get
me
called
now.
the
You know
geezer
what I
from
mean?
the
Like,
Crystal
don't try and
Maze,
get
isn't
me
it?
round now, like,
Whoever came up with that name, what a genius. Gunnosaurus.
yeah, Gunnosaurus.
Yeah, what a genius.
I never,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What would you have come? That's a good thing then. What name would you have come up for the mascot?
What would I have called him? Gunnosaurus.
Gunner? There you go.
Because he's a gunner and he's a
I think
saurus.
it's quality. I think it's quality.
I think a lot of people would have called him Gunnosaurus, to be honest.
Yeah, you know.
Anyone else?
It's perfect.
Gotta love
Well, I
Gunnosaurus,
mean, you
isn't
can't. Yeah, you
I don't know
can't.
why you're knocking it. It's just
No, I'm not knocking that. I think that was.
unreal.
I'd like to know who he actually is under there, like the mask, the mask singer. You know what I mean? Like the unmasked, the Gunnosaurus. You know, see who it is.
I've got one of them.
Where's
Right, you know,
Nigel?
talking
I'll
about
tell you
that.
what. Is Nigel on? Is he on a picnic or something? God,
He's too busy saying hello to everyone.
Oh, yeah, so he's trouble in it. Like, oh, hello.
Evening.
All right in the chat.
If you are listening on audio, the podcast is starting now. Seriously. See, this is the trouble when Lee can read the comments. He's like, great.
Right, this is-
I'll just
yeah,
stop you there
right,
for a
right.
minute. Someone said
Hold
I'm a
on.
legend. Can I just put up there?
Hold up a second.
Yeah. Lee,
Where?
when is the
Where?
club
I
going? when is the club going to give Martinelli and Saka big contracts? Not sure if that already in the works.
Well,
They want to be tying them down quickly.
Yeah,
they have.
They've got to sort that out straight away. So I think that they're teenagers at the moment, so they've got to be careful with what they do with them. But as far as I'm concerned, they're the two biggest assets we've got at the club now. In the future, everything really going down on them too. A lot of pressure to have on teenagers, but I think, when we talked about the fire sale, this is the way I think Arsenal may have to go over the next couple of years, bring in the youth players, buy sensibly, a bit like and instead of looking at other models, you look at the Ajax model and go down that route. I think that's the way to go and make sure we get these two boys on good contracts. But it's no good like saying we're going to be 10th in a couple of seasons, because even at 18, 19, they want to go away, they want to leave. So we've got to be really, really careful how we go about this.
A question I want to put to all of you is that obviously today on Twitter there I see a couple of people saying that they want to name a stand after Arsene Wenger. For me, no thank you. One, we haven't got any stands anyway. It's a linear stadium. Linear meaning all the way around. So we've got one big stand. So if you're going to call, you might as well call it the Arsene Wenger Stadium. No, thank you. A statue, yes. But yeah, that would be about it for me. A statue outside with the rest of them. Dan, how would you feel about a part of the ground being named after Arsene Wenger?
No, I'm with you, mate. I want to see a statue. I think that's the least he deserves, because no matter what you think of Arsene Wenger, he is a legend at the club, and we have a lot to thank him for. But I don't like stands being named personally. I'd much rather look at the Emirates as the Emirates, and we can do the statue thing. It's absolutely fine. I really want a statue of Ian Wright though. That's got to be done. We got to get right here, statue.
Yeah,
but yeah, Arsene Wenger statue would be fine.
Mark?
Yeah.
Would you like to see a stand named after Arsene Wenger?
Well, like you quite rightly said, it couldn't be a stand. So I'm thinking about that. That's where I was. Would he get like a lounge? Would you do that, like a hospitality lounge?
The Arsene Wenger lounge suite.
Yeah, so you
can pay for your pints in instalments.
You just get water. You just get water and melon, and everything was £1.
That's it. Or you can have a beer and you can pay for it over 3 weeks.
Or
loan.
Yeah. I think the man deserves an enormous amount of credit, that he's arguably the greatest manager this football club has ever had. His achievements are now being found. He worked in incredibly difficult circumstances towards the end with a backroom team that was almost fighting against him, it seems. Had he have been left with David Dean and Usmanov, he would probably have won the European Cup. That's just a feeling, because Usmanov would have backed him to the hilt, as we're seeing at Everton and stuff like that. So, yes, he deserves a statue. Absolutely, pride of place. With a heavy heart, I'll say that, because that would probably mean moving Tony. But can't give him a stand, because we ain't got them, as you said, and we can't name the stadium after him because he'd never paid a naming rights. So, yes, I think he should have a lounge, and he should be welcome back anytime he likes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you there. He should be welcome back anytime he likes. But
not as a manager.
Not as a manager, no.
No. Maybe as Gunnosaurus. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is Gunnosaurus.
Maybe he is.
Imagine.
Someone in the chat
walks into the centre spot.
Someone in the chat said that Ty and Claude take it in turns to be Gunnosaurus, apparently.
Nah.
Lee,
I've seen Gunnosaurus smile.
What about you, Lee?
Do you know what? I'm all for a statue, and I think that they should have it as you walk into the director's box. Like as you come into the director's entrance, something like that. I think would be appropriate, because I think that with all the criticisms he's got over the last couple of years, justifiably so. He was outstanding for us for 10 years. You know what I mean? Unbelievable football, unbelievable team. And even when I look back at it now, getting us into fourth in the league with some of the teams that he had and no funds, and it's obvious that he was, had his arm tied behind his back and whatever on financial restraints and everything that, the only thing that I think that really, and that's why I put him in the director's box, because he did, I do think that he protected them far too much, if I'll be honest, at his own expense, if I'll be honest. So that's where I'd be there. And I would, for me, he'll always be an Arsenal legend, but it just all went sour at the end. And I'll always, and I'm going to say this now, always have a bad taste for Kroenke because of that, he allowed that to happen, you know what I mean? And he should never have ever allowed Arsene Wenger to become what he became.
This one comes in from Alex.
Well said, Richard O'Brien. Well said, Richard.
This one comes.
Just Googled that, have you, Mark? Have you?
Yes,
just Googled that.
I had to. I couldn't remember his name.
Sorry about that, Adrian. So,
Dan, what about this one? Rumours about Ramsey being for sale. Would you bring him back? I would bring him back, but who's going to pay his wages? That's the thing.
Who's going to pay the fee? We can't loan him.
That's the reason I wouldn't have him back, if I'm honest. I think we've got to move forward. I don't think we can be looking back. And he's not exactly, he's pretty injury prone. And as much as I do love Aaron Ramsey, I think it's time to go and get a Jack Grealish over an Aaron Ramsey, in my opinion.
Well, I just saying before you came on, I'd love a Jack Grealish, but apparently he's going to Man United, I've heard today. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, apparently apparently he's signed a pre-contract to go there. So,
well, that would be a shame if he goes.
It would be a shame because Lee was just saying he should be our number one transfer target this year, I believe. Definitely the player. Definitely a player we should be going for.
What about fair play though? They just bought Fernandes. Surely they're fair play. Their wages must be up. Surely.
Yeah,
they'll probably get rid of Pogba, won't they, and then get him.
Oh yeah. So Pogba.
And it goes back to what Tim was saying.
You can do what you want.
Manchester United are so far above us in commercial revenue. Yeah. Their wage, their financial fair play is much higher than ours.
Yeah.
Do you know? So they can afford to bring these players in, and that's why they can. And pay stupid wages. I mean, 90 million on Paul Pogba, and how much they paying him? 450 grand a week, is it? Do you know what I mean? Unbelievable. They were paying Alexis Sanchez 500 grand a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
they still are paying some of it, and they sure.
Well, they are, yeah. And I watched the Milan derby last night. He looks like a completely different player. He looks like the Sanchez who played for Arsenal.
Solskjaer was talking about having him back, wasn't he?
I don't think he'd want to come back.
I think Inter Milan they're gonna be winning that Europa League because they're looking pretty tasty, aren't they?
Top of the league now and all, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. Conte though, isn't it? Great manager, manager.
Not only that, they've put some money in January, didn't they? They bought some players and fair play to them. You know what I mean? And they want to get back in the Champions League whatever way they can.
How did they do that though? Because you can only get loans, can't you, in January?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Don't believe what all you read all the time. That's what I say.
Okay, let's go to this next one. This one comes in from Atenus. I hope I've said that right. Pepe is overrated, and 80 million is a waste of every fan hard-earned money. Jorginho was better. The way to go is for Arteta to coach the young players properly.
Is he not considered one of the young players then?
He's only 24, isn't he?
Yeah, 24.
He must be one of that. Yeah. He must be one of that crop, Craig, isn't he? Surely,
that's what I was just about to say. Yeah, 24 years old. He's probably You'd probably want to see him being coached by Arteta at 24. The younger crop: Martinelli, the Tierneys, the Pepes, the Sakas, the Willocks, the Eddies. I don't think. I have to admit, I thought someone had our pants down over Pepe for the first few games, but there is a player in there. You can see a player in there. Would you agree, Lee?
Well, listen. The last few weeks I've seen a player in there, but we've spent 72 million, was it, on this player, and he doesn't even get a start, and then doesn't even come on against Burnley. So what does that tell you? Very, very worrying times that like he can't even get in. He cannot get in. £72 million player cannot get into an Arsenal team that's 10th in the league on a -2 goal average. Worrying times. So I'm with you there, Craig. I think at the end of the day, I think we may have done a wrong one there, right? And that's my honest opinion. You know what I mean? Obviously, Arteta doesn't fancy him because he's not playing him. And if you can't play against Burnley in a mid-table clash for 72 million, then we've got problems.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I kind of get what Lee's saying there, but Burnley, I think he's maybe taken a little bit of time to adjust to this physicality of this league, isn't he? He's been bullied around a little bit, so maybe Arteta was thinking, like, get him to this winter break and get him out to Dubai and work him, sort of see what's going on, and those rainy nights away in Burnley, it might not be the best place for him right now. But I agree, he's got to be a part of our rebuilding future. The £72 million thing I would just touch on as well is that it's not 72. We haven't paid £72 million for him yet, have we? I think a lot of it's to do with add-ons and clauses and things like that. And some of those clauses surely must be to do with his performance related and stuff like that. So, his appearances and his, how he performs. So it's rising to 72 million. Is it, or is it a 72 million pound fee with instalments? I can't quite remember. So is it 72 million pound whether or not he performs?
Oh, no. 72 million whether he performed or not. It's just that we're paying him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, he's a young lad, isn't he? And it's going to take some time. It's a completely different league. I think there's a player in there. I give him time. He has only been here half a season, and by the way, he's playing in a terrible side. Do you know what I mean? He's not got no help around him, has he? Do you know?
Yeah.
He hasn't had it. He hasn't. Actually, mate, Niles, someone said in the group chat he deserves some credit. He's been, Bellerin's come back and he's been kicked out for all his hard work and whatnot. But he's not a right back. For as well as he's played behind Pepe and whatever, he's not a right back, and so he needs to forge that partnership with Bellerin on a training pitch. Now they're both fit, the same as what Saka and Martinelli have done down the other side. And those sorts of things take time, don't they?
They do. They certainly do. I mean, I'd be with you, Mark. But I'd be honest. When he first came here, I thought, "Oh my God, who sanctioned this?" But what? The more I watch him, the more I see him. I think there's a player in there. Dan, I don't know what you. Would you agree with that?
I think there's
a lot of people.
A player in there.
A lot of people were doctoring pictures of Pepe's face on Gervinho's head with Gervinho's hair and stuff when he first came. I have to say, I thought that was quite funny.
I can't be dealing with talking about Gervinho. Jesus.
But JC reckons Pepe hasn't had a real chance to shine, and I agree with him.
Yeah, totally I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I saw people in the chat who picked up on a good point saying there was a couple of players that came to the Premier and they needed time and they didn't get it, and then they went to other clubs and they're now playing in the Premier League, and their names are Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. So you look at that and you think, actually, maybe you just got to give some people time. And I don't think he's really come at the best of times. It's been hard to settle. He's had 3 different managers to try and coach him. He's in a new team. He's in a new league. I'll be happy to give him the rest of the season and maybe one more next season. And if he still can't get involved, then sometimes it just doesn't work out. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders for the massive money we paid for him. But if you were to ask me now, what would I rather have happened in the summer? I'd have rather have said Zaha, if I'm honest, out of the two. But listen, it didn't happen. So we got to stick with Pepe, haven't we? Got to get behind him.
Absolutely. This one comes in from Jamie. Thank you very much, Jamie. Lee, we'll start with you. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen at a football match?
Our defence. Oh, funniest thing. God, that's a. Do you know what? That's a tough one. Like just off the top of my head.
I'll go.
Always go on.
The beach ball.
Oh, the Sunderland Liverpool.
What, Sunderland Liverpool? Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was quite funny. It was funny.
Oh, do you mean I was thinking like when you've been to a game.
Yeah,
I didn't mean in general.
No,
that's why I was struggling. In general, I'd probably go with that one, yeah. Or Delia Smith with the microphone.
Come on, let's be having ya. Where are you? That was good. That was funny.
Yeah, that was good. Like, of course, Eric Cantona going into the crowd was quite funny as well, wasn't it? Like,
that was That was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one.
Shockingly funny, if you know.
I just saw that.
Going for a dump. DT got his hat stolen. Poor old DT. The beach ball was hilarious. It was quite funny. I can't think of it. There's probably loads of funny things that we've
There's
seen.
ones we've missed, isn't there?
I think
them two lads had a fight, didn't they? Who's that? Them
Kieran Dyer.
That's hilarious. That two grown.
Yeah.
I say two grown men.
With
Two
all his
lads
shirt
having a
and all
punch
that,
up
yeah,
on the same team, wasn't it?
What about what's his name? Not getting subbed. Kepper in goal for Chelsea. And he wouldn't get off the pitch. That was nightmare, wasn't it?
It wouldn't come off, would it?
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not coming off.
Well, what about when?
I tell you, it's all funny when it's other clubs, isn't it? Like, you know,
Yeah.
Spurs getting relegated. That was hilarious.
Spurs losing the Champions League final. That was
hilarious.
That was hilarious.
Poor old Spurs.
Yeah, poor old Spurs getting kicked.
Always the brides
against Chelsea. That was a good one as well.
Always the bridesmaids, never the brides.
Yeah.
Gascoigne scoring against Scotland at Wembley.
That was good.
It's been a few funny moments. And he done the dentist chair. Didn't he? Done the dentist chair to celebrate,
right.
Didn't he?
What about the Robbie Fowler one?
Yeah.
Oh,
do you know what one I like? No, I'm being serious.
Yes,
now.
Richard.
Do you remember when Ian Wright scored against Spurs, right? And he went to he stood there with the crowd, and then he called the fan on. Do you remember that game, that celebration when he scored and he's standing there with his pose and he ushered the fan on and the fan come on and give it, what a good to have been that
remember
fan,
that.
you know what I mean? That was fantastic, like, you know what I mean? So that was a good moment.
Harry's brought up a funny one here, the Taylor handball on the goal line for Newcastle, and then he acted like he got shot. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I
do remember that one.
Funny that was.
That was good. That was good.
Handballed it and just went down like.
I'll tell you which was a funny one as well was do you remember? What was his name? Ian Wright was playing against Sheffield United. What was his name? And he had long dreadlocks and he kept pulling his hair.
Oh, you're thinking of Richard Shaw, aren't you?
No, he played for Sheffield Wednesday and he copped the ump about it. And so Ian Wright kept pulling his hair. If anybody was there in the chat, I can't think of the fella's name. He was a sort of left winger.
That weren't that Jason Lee, was it?
No, it weren't Jason Lee. I think he was a Dutch international. Dutch international.
He played for Sheffield Wednesday.
And
I can't think of him.
And Ian Wright, he had long hair, and Ian Wright kept every time he get past, kept pulling his hair. Reggie Blinker, always a gooner. Reggie Blinker, I remember that. That was quite funny. That was good.
What about when Di Canio pushed the referee over?
You know, and Nigel Winterburn,
Nigel Winterburn, that was hilarious.
Didn't he, like, you know what I mean? So
that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
The other one
that was quite funny.
There's one more that I always remember, and that was, I think we were playing. It was either Wigan or Blackburn at home, and we needed the points real bad, and we were winning 2-1, and I think we were just about to go into injury time, and old Jens Lehmann had hopped across the advertising board to get the ball. So he's picked up the ball, and as he's running back towards the goal, he's thrown the ball, but purposely thrown it at the board so it bounced back.
That's it.
I remember that one. Yeah,
what a legend he was. I loved Jens Lehmann. What a legend he was. Loved him.
He was.
Darren's put on there, which is a good one. Finger all the time trying to do up his coat.
Gascoigne booking the ref, and then he actually got booked for it. Do you remember?
Someone else done that,
I'll tell you another one. Do you remember that one, Alan Pardew, when he done the dance because he thought he won at Wembley? What a pratty he's easily. So.
There was another one up there as well.
Wenger standing in when he got sent off at Old Trafford and he stood in the
Oh
crowd.
yeah,
that was iconic.
It's all right, are they?
Iconic.
Can you wait?
I found these.
What is it?
It's like one of these old Viennese, shortbread things. I don't know. Hang on, Richard, I'll tell you. They're milk chocolate Viennese fingers, they are.
Sort of thing Adrian Durham would eat, they are, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean?
Viennese fingers.
Viennese finger. Don't knock it till you try it.
dear. Let's not go there.
Let's not. Oh, there's another one we've missed out as well. Oxlade-Chamberlain and Gibbs.
Right,
Ox got sent off.
That weren't funny.
I thought it was.
No, we lost 6-0.
I thought it was funny because you can't. I thought it was the comedy thing about it was the officials. You can't let that happen. You can't send off the wrong bloke. So embarrassing.
Yeah, I know.
You should never have to do that. This one here now. Stormy Water Films. Have Arsenal fans accepted mediocrity because we've slowly declined over 14 years, and therefore so have our expectations? Well, it's a good question. I started to lower my expectations.
I think I have lowered my expectations to stop the pain.
I'm finding it quite easy. I'm finding some people might be finding this season quite tough to deal with. I'm not. I'm already looking forward to next season because we are what we are, and it doesn't matter how you dress it up or how you paint it up. Arsenal are a mid-table club at the moment, and that's about it. You can see the way we play. I mean, we're not picking up any points. We are just a mid-table club. No one's scoring any goals. Mikel Arteta's come in at a bad time, I suppose you could call a bad time in January. I'm looking forward to next season already. But Dan, this season is a write-off. And at the moment, we are what we are. We are a mid-table club.
Yeah, we are, mate, and it's all about the Europa League, which I personally don't think we're going to win. And I've said it before. If we're not going to win the Europa League, I don't want to qualify for Europe next season. Yes, that does mean I don't want us to win the FA Cup. Call me a bad fan if you want. I don't want to be in that Europa League next year if we're not in the Champions League. So, because I believe it will benefit us in the long run. You know, people say that we won't attract players if we're not in Europe. That's absolute nonsense. It's absolute rubbish. There's no way people come to Arsenal to play Genk on a Thursday night. No one does. They don't want to. They come to Arsenal for Arsenal. And you don't have to look far in the Premier League. You look at players that are currently playing at Aston Villa. If they go down, Jack Grealish, Tyrone Mings, they'd come to Arsenal if we weren't in Europe. Liverpool and Chelsea were outside of Europe, and they nearly won the league. Well, did win the league. Chelsea did win the league under Conte, and Liverpool, if it wasn't for a Gerrard slip, would have won the league as well. So I look at it and I think, do you know what? One game a week could do me at the moment. We can play some Saturday games at 3:00. None of this Sunday nonsense. None of this Thursday night nonsense. And if it's not Tuesday or Wednesday in the Champions League, then I'm really not interested. So the league's written off, Craig. It's done. I don't even think we're going to get top 6, if I'm honest. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to Mark and Lee on that question right after this. That was, of course, our podcast sponsor, the West Cork Beer Company. Link in the description. Please go and check out Colin, who is kindly sponsoring our main podcast when we do it. So thank you, Colin. Now, Lee, that question. Obviously, we talked about this on Friday, didn't we? Tim Payton told us that anyone who wants us, sorry now, Dan, but anyone who wants us to stay out of Europe is mad. Because of the financial aspect. Obviously, if we drop out of Europe, if we're not in the Europa League, we're going to have next to nothing to spend. So, if we win, let's just say we win the Europa League. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we win it and we qualify for the Champions League. What then, Lee? What then?
Oh, let's have a party. Hey, let's have a party. We're back in the Champions League. You know, look, listen, what we'd have to do then is make sure that we stay in the Champions League. And that means getting top 4. I would expect a lot more of signings if it could happen. I get what Dan's saying, but, you know, I can't go to Portsmouth in a couple of weeks' time hoping that we get beat. You know what I mean? Or getting beat somewhere along the line. You know, if we have to win the FA Cup and that gets us in the Europa League, so be it, because at the end of it, I do want to win a trophy. You know, winning trophies is fantastic. Now, for instance, you know, Pochettino gets slagged off for never winning nothing at Spurs, but he got them into the top 4 for a few seasons, which is a fantastic achievement for them. But you know, it's still ridiculed because he didn't win a trophy. So I do think winning a trophy is very, very important.
Problem is, though, Lee, just on that point, if you win the FA Cup, job done. Kroenke's like, "What? We're not spending any money. We just won the cup."
Well,
So
you know,
stop moaning. That's what they'll say.
This is, you know, I think that, you know, listen, I think the FA Cup, you can say that, but I look at it on another point of view. Like, it's like Liverpool are having this wonderful season at this moment in time, but say in 2 years' time, things are not going well for them, and they go, right, oh, it's the FA Cup. They've absolutely ruined their chances with what they've done over this last few weeks, saying they're not bothered about it. Because one day I can guarantee you that there'd be no trophies up for grabs apart from that, and they go for it. I think Arsenal take the FA Cup very, very serious, and I think that's the way it should be. I do believe that you know that the Europa League is the biggest competition. You know, if it means if we could go on and win the Europa League and sacrifice the FA Cup and the league form, we're going to have to do that, because it is very, very important that we get to. And the Europa League, not only does it give you a trophy, it gives you the Champions League as well. You know, so I think that it would be you know, that's the one to go for. As we've said, though, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to win. And I do agree with Dan. You know, all right, we're going to go into financial meltdown if we don't get into Europe, and if that's the case, so be it. You know, it's not my fault that we're in financial meltdown. It's not the fans' faults that we're in financial meltdown. We've actually been spending the money. You know, you've got to have a look at other areas, and other areas have got to be highlighted if that's the case. If that club come out and turn around, and Kroenke turns around and says, "Oh, well, we haven't got into Europe, so we're going to have to fire sale now," like, you know what I mean? The first thing is, oh, let's all get excited about that then, shall we? You know what I mean? Makes himself look an absolute mug. And if that is the case, then so be it.
Mark, I mean, let me just come to Mark there. I mean, we had a comment come up there. Where is it? Let me just see if we're basically saying that we haven't got the players to contend in the Champions League. Well, I disagree. I highly disagree. I mean, if we got in the Champions League, it means we keep Aubameyang, we keep Lacazette. Well, hopefully keep Aubameyang, keep Lacazette, Mesut Ozil. We've got Salah. Yeah, we've got Saliba coming in. You've got Mari in. You've got Kieran Tierney ready to come back, and you've got Hector Bellerin. I'm sorry, but I disagree with that. I think that's I think that team could compete in the Champions League.
Yeah, there's also an argument, Craig, to suggest that our squad and the sort of technical players that we've got would be more suited to the Champions League. You know, it's a different breed, it's a different animal, isn't it, to playing in the Premier League? So there's that argument. We'll possibly never know whether this squad is capable of competing in the Champions League, because it's not looking likely, is it? But this thing about touching on the Europa League, and I get, you know, as season ticket holders, the lads have had enough of these Thursday nights and Sundays, and that's, you know, they know better than us what it takes out of you as a fan and the travel and whatnot. So we give them huge respect when they say these things. But we must listen to the people who talk about the finances, because it's a huge part of football, whether we like it or not, this business. You know, so maybe could we compromise somewhere in between with potentially playing like a half squad, or using the UEFA, the Europa League, you know, to get people fit, to play the youngsters, you know, to use it as a sort of another League Cup scenario. And by that, also, by the way, you know, the board, the club, giving the tickets at a reasonable price to compensate that, you know, we're not going to go Hail Mary on it. We're going to go for a league position this year, you know. So if we do get in the Europa League, we've got that option, haven't we? You know, if we do win the FA Cup, and you know, let's hope we do, for goodness sake, because, you know, we're in this game to win trophies, and that's what we all live for. And it's unlikely we're going to win the league anytime soon, barring an absolute miracle. So the FA Cup is possibly the most prestigious trophy available to us. And if that gets us in the Europa League, then just use it.
Well, yeah. It's the Champions League was where we want to be. I mean, I keep touching it. I keep touching on the podcast we had on Friday. Someone's just put in the comments there. If we qualify for the Champions League, it goes straight in Kroenke's pocket. It won't, because it can't. Do you know? Go back and watch. With all due respect, go back and watch the podcast and listen to what Tim Payton was saying. That's not going to happen.
I think as well, Craig, the one thing I didn't touch on, which I wanted to about this topic, was the fact that we have been in the Champions League before and we did spend money. So it isn't just all about that. It's about how bad the recruitment has been, because look at what we spent it on. We were in the Champions League and we were supposed to be excited about buying Yaya Sanogo and Mustafi and Xhaka and Gervinho and all these shocking players. So the recruitment has been so bad and we've spent so much money on, just over 70 million on Mustafi and Xhaka, when Salah and Mane were bought for less, like together combined. This is madness recruitment. So
it goes back to, sorry to butt in there, mate, but it goes back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. I think we were discussing that there are players out there, and you've just knocked it dead. There are players out there for cheap who we can bring in.
Your guy Leicester, Craig, he spoke on Friday again, talking about how much Leicester had spent £140 million in the last 4 years. And they've signed the lads that we need. Indeed, the Harry Maguires, I don't rate him really, but they've replaced him, by the way, with the Greek lad. Harry Maguire. It's like Harry Maguire. Who? Do you know what I mean? They've done so. Their recruitment is absolutely
James Maddison was
their
nothing from Norwich.
Their recruitment is the best part of their football club, and then you can see it on the pitch. Get the recruitment right, everything else will fall into place. Finances, performances. It don't matter who you've got at the helm, as Leicester are proven. Ranieri, whoever, whatever, Brendan Rodgers. If you're putting the lads on the pitch who've got a work ethic and all the rest of it, if you bought the right lads, the performances will come.
Lee, Mark's right there, isn't he? Look at Liverpool. I mean, all right, it took Klopp 3 or 4 years to get it how it is, but God, they are so good. And I don't mind admitting I really enjoy watching Liverpool play football as a neutral, as a football fan. But what he has done at Liverpool is amazing. I mean, Jordan Henderson, before Klopp turns up to Liverpool, I used to say to my Liverpool supporting buddies here, I used to say, "What, Jordan Henderson? He's rubbish. Don't know how he plays. Jesus, that man has lifted the Champions League. He's lifted a European trophy, and he's arguably playing the best football of his life. So it just goes to prove. So, is the Liverpool way of doing things something we should be looking to follow? Do you think?
Well, I'd rather say that we've got to do our own group, and why look at other teams? You know what I mean? We're Arsenal.
No, I mean the model, the model how they're doing it.
Let's do the Arsenal model. Get the proper people in, the right people from top to bottom, and that's something that we've not done. I think that maybe we might have got something with Arteta, the way that we've got him, but I think that it's been a complete cock up from the word go. With the way we bought players, the players that have come in have not shaped up. Some of them have just not good enough. They've underperformed. Yeah, we spent 35 million on players and they've just not performed. So there's a combination of loads of different things. I like. Listen, no one was this time last season. No one was saying, "Oh, let's have the Leicester model," because they was tempted from bringing on Jamie Vardy to take a penalty against Spurs, and wasn't even in the side. But the reason that they've chipped up and got better is because they've got good recruitment, as we're saying, but they've now got a manager that's making those players better and has got a system and it's working for them. I think that is key. And all of a sudden, Jurgen Klopp has gone in and done fantastically well with Liverpool, but there was failures before him. They had Kenny Dalglish in there. They even had Roy Hodgson at one stage, but they were ruthless and got rid, and then got in Brendan Rodgers, and then when things weren't going well, moved on again. Now they've got a fantastic manager in Jurgen Klopp, and that's what we've got to do. And you know, if you want to say let's go down the Liverpool route, that's fair enough. But going down the Liverpool route means that you've got to sell your best asset, right? Because that is exactly what Liverpool done with Coutinho. And look how it's gone from that. So, but if you say now, well, right, let's go and sell Aubameyang, there's a big meltdown of Arsenal fans. And I think there's the reason for that is because there's no trust from the top to the bottom. If you're going to get a manager who comes in and he's doing really, really well, and he says, do you know what, I'm selling Aubameyang because I can get so-and-so, and you trust him, you will allow it to happen. You know, did the Liverpool fans want Coutinho to go? No, they laugh at him now. You know what I mean? Now you're getting on your loan spell with Bayern Munich or whatever, like, you know. So this is where it is, you know. And listen, Liverpool were in a position like Arsenal 4 or 5 years ago, Craig. 4 or 5 years ago, and let me tell you why I'm saying that is because everybody at Liverpool was saying if Liverpool got themselves a decent goalkeeper and a centre half, they would be a really, really good side. Yeah. So what happens is they go and get a centre half and a goalkeeper. Look at it. We've been saying for years we need a good centre half and a centre midfield player. We're 2 players away, but we never done nothing about it. And that is a difference between Arsenal and Liverpool. They reacted to it and we didn't. So again, I have to look at the people above that messed up. It's as simple as that. Us fans were saying the same things for many, many a year. And we went and bought Petr and we didn't go and buy anybody else. And it was a mistake. And I think that Russ has said it before. Chris Hudson said it before. That decision to save money in the long run has cost Arsenal £400 million. They could have paid 60, 70 million pounds for those players. Now look at us. Yeah. You know, decisions made at the top were not good enough. And Tim made a very, very good point the other day about the board and how old it is. There's no one in there perhaps to say, look, hold on a minute. If we spend this money here, we'll save it in the long run. Or no, you know, looking into the future.
Or it's an asset.
Arsenal's downfall. Yeah. It's been Arsenal's downfall. You know, for instance, we could have bought Pepe a few years ago. Like, it was totally, out of our depth, say 100 million. But if he would go on there, he'd be worth 200 million. Yeah. You know, someone in the
it would have been an asset.
It would have been an asset. We've been poorly managed from the top, and it's filtered its way down. And that is what
the year that Leicester won the league. Remember when Leicester won the league and we missed out? Yeah, we were never going to win it that year, but we were quite close. Well, probably the closest we've been in a while. We needed that defensive midfielder and we needed that centre half, and we went and bought them. And their names were Mustafi and Xhaka. That's how bad it was when we could have had Kante and Van Dijk for less money, right? Both of them. And we didn't go and do it. That recruitment, again, it comes down to bad recruitment and scouting. That was all they needed. We had the Santi Cazorlas, the Alexis Sanchez, the Mesut Ozil at the time was playing well. Giroud was banging in goals. We had players that were still there in terms of consistency at the back, like Nacho Monreal and Bellerin down right and left back. It was not looking terrible, in my opinion. We had Cech at the time, who was a good signing because he'd just come from Chelsea. So it wasn't horrendously bad, but we had Francis Coquelin holding midfield and we had nobody at the back. You could have taken your pick. They were all hopeless. So then we went and bought Mustafi and Xhaka, and you think, if that would have been a Kante and Van Dijk, where would we be now? Oh. Where would we be?
Dan, you say about that league, 14th of February, never forget it, when Danny Welbeck jumped in the stand, you know, that day when we beat Leicester, we was 3 points away from them, and they went on to win the league. And the reason was because we didn't recruit properly. If we would have recruited properly, we'd have had enough firepower to go for it. We was the only team to beat Leicester twice that season.
Yeah, very true.
You know what I mean? It was a missed opportunity, but we blew out because we got a few injuries, and there wasn't the foresight to see what could happen in the future. And how many more times you're going to say that about Arsenal? And now, you know, instead of all of us sitting here 2, 3, 4 years ago saying, "Oh, we're 2 players away from it," we're dare I say it, 9 or 10 away from it now. Like, you know, that's the worry.
There was another question coming in. Mark, do you think Arteta will get the same amount of time as Jurgen Klopp?
I hope so. Like, I hope so. Don't really we're a classy outfit, the Arsenal. You know, we don't go around sacking people for silly reasons. So as long as as long as he's showing the right signs and the players are on board. Because if you lose the dressing room, then that's when you're banging in trouble. But if he keeps hold of these young lads and they keep buying into his ethos and what he's trying to do. But let's make no bones about it. As much as I love Arteta and he's got time, drawing 155 games in a row is not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. Let's be clear about that. So he is going to have to start winning games sooner rather than later. But we love him and we can see what he's doing. It is the right thing. We all genuinely believe and hope that we are going the right way with the youth. But he does need a win.
I'll just say something which is very important here, Craig. I think that these next 3 games, our next 3 games, are all at home. Newcastle, Everton, West Ham. After the little winter break we've had, where he's been able to work at the players and that, I think we're going to see a lot about Arteta over these next few weeks.
7
really
points.
Do you now? I don't know. I'll put this question to you as our last one because we've got to go. I'm getting smoke signals here.
What from your ham?
About putting kids to bed and stuff.
There, is it?
I don't know about you, but I am expecting after this Dubai training camp. After this break, I'm expecting a completely different Arsenal team.
I am.
So the one I've seen the last 6 weeks. Dan, would you hope so much that they're going to go away to Dubai? Arteta's going to have more time. I think the winter break came at such a great time for Arteta. He's taken them away. They're away from the press. They're away from the media. I honestly believe that when they come back from Dubai, I think we're going to see a different Arsenal team, and I think we're going to see different performances. Is it Newcastle we've got on Sunday?
Newcastle
at home.
Ham,
I think we're going to see a really different side with different performances.
Yeah, listen, I think the best thing they did was to start. Apparently, the rumours are they said, do anything that ain't football. Go and have a nice break for a few days, wherever you want. And then they all went to Dubai. Great idea. Because take your mind off of the game. It's been a horrible few weeks to be involved with the club because of the results and the way things have been. But now the hard work looks to be started. You look at the pictures, you see them all happy. You see them all together. You see them in warm weather. They're happy. They're excited. And Arteta's saying the right things. I want to see actions on the pitch. And I believe that this is the first time the 25 players have actually got together without there being a game every 3 days. Again, goes back to Europa League. Thursday, Sunday, all that sort of stuff. So for me, this has been a nice break. Let's get them all together. Nice home games. Not very easy, but nice home games to play against. None of them teams are going to kick us up in the air. So we're going to have nice free teams that try and play football against us there. Everton are a great side. Newcastle have done okay under Bruce, actually. But for me, I would expect a couple of wins there now. So, yeah, I am expecting to see a different side. And unfortunately for our fan base, if we don't see some wins, they will get on his back. And I don't want to see that.
Mark, what about you? What's your feeling about them coming back? They've been out in Dubai, they've been training, and they've done some good bonding as well by the looks of some of the videos I've seen on Twitter of them having a meal there the other night with firecrackers and all kinds of stuff going on at the table. But are you expecting to see? I'm expecting, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself, but I'm expecting a different outfit.
Well, we can only truly judge Arteta and this squad when they've had a pre-season. So he's had a mini break pre-season because it does look like they've been working hard. The facilities we know out there are at second to none. A lot of the lads go out there when they are injured and they rehab and stuff like that. So I think it's all down to the Emirates sponsor, isn't it, that they've gone out there and it's all part of that partnership and stuff. So they look like, as you say, they've had a good time and they've recharged, regrouped. And we're hoping, aren't we, that this Pepe Bellerin and they've maybe gone out there. Personally, I would have liked to have seen Bellerin and Pepe room together. Stuff like that, silly little things. Just to get these partnerships forging. But yeah, we hope we're going to see some more positivity. We've got to address. Arteta's come in and he's sorted out this back unit. He's parked these two lads, Torreira and Xhaka, in front of the back four, and he's sorted out the defence. We're not giving away chances. But to win football games, to win big matches, you have got to be brave and you have got to take chances. And at some point, we are going to have to step out from the back and leave the defence to do the defending. And we are going to have to go forward and score goals to win games. And that's where the bravery is going to have to come in. And we hope with this little break that they find this confidence.
Lee, what do you reckon? I'm going to finish with you, mate, on that subject. Coming back from Dubai, we're hoping to see a more gelled team.
I couldn't say no more than what the guys have said. I think like Mark's spot on what he's saying as well. I think that little mini breaks certainly going to do them the world of good. I do expect a little bit more now. I'm going to say that now. I expect Mari to come straight into the side on Sunday. I expect to see him playing. You know, if you're going to bring players in to improve the team, then he has to come in.
Drop Simon Mustafi dropped.
Simon Mustafi is going to be dropped. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that is what it's going to be. You know, there's got to be a little bit of ruthlessness in there. I think that I don't really want to see him still consistently back in Ozil, but it looks like he's going to where way Ozil's going. But that would be something there. It's about time now that Mikel Arteta found out Ozil and worked him out. But I'll be interested to see the team sheet come Sunday. But I do expect us to be. I'm going to say I'm not putting no pressure on Arteta this season, but if he's going to be I'm really going to look at him that he should be demanding 9 points in these next 3 games. You know what I mean? Like, it's good talking about this and that and that. He has now got to deliver, and these performances now are going to be delivered under no pressure. So I expect to see some results. Next season, there's going to be pressure on him. So if he can't get it without pressure, then I'm going to worry for him. But at this moment in time, I do feel that he's the right man for the job, and I'm buzzing for him.
Okay, we're going to end it there. I hope you enjoyed your little bonus edition, another one, because we do normally have a break in the winter break, but I said we'd do something. Got some topics out there. I think some great questions. Thank you very much to everyone in the comment section. Don't forget to head over to Twitter. In about 10 minutes' time, we'll start the competition off for a lovely scarf that Lee has kindly donated from his trip to the posh seats. Thank you very much for that, mate. Much appreciated.
No problems.
Someone's going to win, and Lee will even sign it for you.
No, I won't like that.
You won't sign the.
No, I don't want to spoil it. Like, you know what I mean? It's very nice.
Can you get Kevin Campbell to sign it for us, Lee?
I could, if Kevin's about and they want it signed by Kevin, I'm pretty sure Kevin will sign it.
Well, there you go. Whoever wins it, we can ask him a question if you want it signed by. If you want to get it autographed by Kevin Campbell, we can sort that out. No problem at all. So, thanks to all for staying around and listening to us talk
about the Crystal Maze.
Yeah, about the Crystal Maze.
And you've got to talk.
Why didn't you send me the memo about the fancy dress?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you've got to be on TalkSport.
He looks like a Guess Who character, doesn't he? Has he got a bald head?
Has he got hair?
Has he got glasses? Is it Lee Judges? Yeah, Lee Judges.
What are you laughing at, Dan?
Oh, mate, I just like to join in, Lee.
Somebody said that Dan looked like Francisco Totti earlier on in that group.
He looks like Simon Mustafi, doesn't he? Like, it's his bloody twin brother. Hey?
I'm just a better footballer than him, that's all.
Yeah, you are. He is.
You know what, Lee? I'd rather get told I look like Richard, what's his name, from the Crystal Maze than Mr. Bean. People tell me I look like Mr. Bean.
Blimey hell, really?
I don't really know. Yeah, no. He had a good wife, though, didn't he, at one stage? I think it was his wife.
Well, I've got a good wife like him, yes, as well, yeah.
Yeah, you're punching there, I must admit. Like,
it's not always...
You know
what they say about fellas with a big nose, Lee, don't you?
Edna, wasn't it? Was it Edna? No.
Small feet. No, he had a nice wife, didn't he? Rowan Atkinson. He's divorced now.
Yeah, Lee.
It didn't work out.
Don't be nasty to Lee. There you go, Nigel. He's doing his job.
Nigel's woke up.
Finally.
Well done, Nigel. I enjoyed your dinner. I hope it was very nice.
We'll see you all next Monday. We shall be doing a podcast. Newcastle at home on Sunday. Let's hope for 3 points. We'll see you next Monday, 7 o'clock.
Doing a preview on Wednesday, actually, Craig. So,
sorry, mate.
That's all right, buddy. No, so 7 o'clock on Wednesday. You got me, Lee, Claude, and James Rowe. So that'll be a nice one for the Arsenal Newcastle preview.
Excellent. Okay. Until then.
Unlucky, Mark, you're not invited.
Mark can jump on any time. He knows that.
Until we see.
So shut it, Richard.
Stop the fans!
Stop the fans, please.
Until we see you on Monday. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you soon. All the best. Up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.